I started a business hoping I could get $10 out of the ATM machine to eventually I was running $60,000 a week in payroll. I grew up in the 60s. Grew up on the south side of Chicago. The older boys had these little drafting boards that they would take to the local high school. And back then, most of them became draftsmen. I had never even heard of an architect. But I was one of those kids who played with Lego building blocks, erector sets, and just, you know, I just loved building. 15 or 16, I met my first black architect, David Moody. He became my mentor. He graduated from Hampton back in the 40s. I started thinking I was going to be an architect. I graduated from Howard and with a 5-year professional degree in architecture in 1981. So I went back home to Ann Arbor, Michigan, to the Ann Arbor, Michigan office in the nuclear power division as a staff architect. And this is when you actually had to draw every day. Had a parallel bar, sat on a stool and a drawing table, and just a gang of drawing tables. And what happened was they asked for an architect to go to the job site on a nuclear power plant. So nobody volunteered, I raised my hand. And I went to this nuclear power plant. I had never seen anything of this size, but it was thousands of people working on it. It was this constant movement, and that's when the construction bug bit me. So I took my knowledge of architecture and went into the construction side. So 1983, we moved back to Atlanta, so we're 27. I get this job with this small company. My wife's never lived anywhere but Michigan. I said, baby, we're going down here. I got this great deal. This company, you know, they said I could move up and all this stuff. And 2 months after I get here, that company goes bankrupt. Company it's not paying its payroll taxes. I'll never forget that day. The IRS agents came in, told us we had 5 minutes to get our stuff. We couldn't walk out with anything other than our stuff, and they padlocked the place, to shut it down, locked it up. So now I gotta go tell my wife of less than a year of marriage, I no longer have a job. My great idea has blown up. We went from doing okay to struggling. I started working for some small companies, and you know, it was some tough times. Now what I thought though at the time was my worst day actually became my best day, because I probably never would have went in business for myself if that hadn't happened, because I had planned on locking on with that company.
We met at age 16, we started dating at age 19, and got married at age 26. And now we're going on 38 years of marriage. Subscriptions to magazines, you name it, I had it. I could tell you back in the day, I could tell you how many pizzas we ordered within a year, how much we spent on the pizzas, how much we spent on entertainment, how much we spent on eating out. And by keeping those kinds of budgets, it makes you able to, if you run into a hard time, it makes you able to cut that budget and get yourself back in line. It was scary, really scary, because we had just moved into a townhouse over in College Park. So when he came home and he was like, he just had this look on his face, and I was like, what's the matter? And he's like, the job got shut down. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, the job got shut down. They came in and shut down the job, and I don't have a job. And I was like, oh my God, what are we gonna do now? What happened was, after they closed that one, he went to another job and another small firm, and he worked there for a while, and we needed another income. So I went to nursing because I thought, if he's not working, I can pull double shifts. I could do other things, you know, to keep us rolling until we, you know, started doing better. That lasted a little while, and then he was working with that guy, and he met someone else, a guy named George Brown, and he went to work for him. at Moody Construction, and he was working for him, and unfortunately Mr. Brown passed away, had a heart attack and died. And so the people came to him and said, can you finish the job for us? You know, you've been on it, can you finish it? And so he said yes, and so he finished it, and from there he started the business. But I never thought it would get as big as it did. Really, I never thought it would get this big.
It took me about 4 or 5 years before I actually believed this was going to maybe work. But I never thought I'd be doing it 32 years. From where I started, I just didn't want to fail. You know, we're one of the top black general contractors in the country. And we're doing some of the biggest jobs that black contractors have ever done in the country. I pinch myself because, again, I'm that C student guy who just wanted to have a job. I never dreamed I'd be doing what I'm doing today, and looked at as one of the top in the industry, especially as a black contractor. Our company, we do about 50, 60 million a year. Currently, right now, we're working on actively 7 projects. My greatest accomplishment, it's not all the buildings. In 32 years, I've never missed a payroll. Never missed a payroll. Never shorted anybody in their pay. And that's not easy to do in business. There are often times I just sit, give thanks to God, give thanks to my wife, Carla, because I wouldn't be where I am without her.